very, very much, Helen. You may be seated. It is now my pleasure to introduce the president of Hunter College, President Jennifer J. Rabb.
Good afternoon and welcome, graduates. Today represents what sometimes must have seemed like your own personal New York City marathon. Well, you ran a fantastic race, you're all winners, and today we cross the finish line together. And at least one of you will also cross the finish line at the real New York City Marathon in November. Omri Holtzman will. Omri came to Hunter after serving as a paratrooper in the Israeli army. He took up running for the first time. And wound up breaking every Hunter cross-country and track record. He won 15 championship medals in 4 years. But Omri's success was not limited to running. While training for track events and working full-time at the Israeli consulate, Omri managed to earn a 3.7 GPA with a double major in computer science and economics. And he broke another type of barrier. He became best friends with his Moroccan Muslim teammate. When we are together, we just care about running, Omri says. We don't try to solve the problems of the Middle East. Now Omri has 2 more marathons ahead of him. On June 25th, he will marry his fiancée, Inbal. And on November 5th, he will run in the New York City Marathon. Omri, please join me. So friends, keep your eyes out for the Hunter logo as Omri flies by you in this runner's jacket. Let's congratulate Omri. It is now my pleasure to welcome CUNY trustee Wellington Chen, who brings greetings from the Board of Trustees of the City University of New York. Trustee Chen is a product of our great City University system. He graduated from the School of Architecture and Environmental Studies at City College. He is a committed public servant, a leader in the Chinese American community, and a true friend of Hunter College. Let us welcome Trustee Chen.
Good afternoon. I'm absolutely delighted to be here on behalf of the CUNY Board of Trustees. This is what we call harvest time, and I'm delighted to be sharing this milestone here with you, talk about a marathon. This is truly a milestone. I know how many of you have worked very, very hard with the support of so many. So I would like to first ask everybody to give a round of applause to all the graduates. And also to the excellent faculty behind me. But also more importantly, I think, is those invisible ones, your loved ones, your families, your friends, your relatives that are behind you. You know, the theme I want to leave a very short message for you today. It's about sharing. And you know, we all want to make an impact on this world. We want to all last a long, long time. And so I would like to talk a little bit about longevity. Because, you know, many Chinese emperors have looked for the elusive elixir. You know, that's how the Japan nation was founded, because the people couldn't find any. So they, rather than come back and face the emperor and be beheaded, they decided to stay in Japan. And so, you know, you know, the Beatles went to India to look for the Indian gurus to see what's the secret of growing to be 102. And actually, it's rather basic. I mean, there are three basic things to a long life. One is obviously quite obvious. You have to have very good genes. The second one is actually well known to Indians and Chinese, for those of you with 5,000-year-old culture, which is that you eat a lot less. You know, you are taught as a kid, as Asian, to eat only 60 to 70% full. But more importantly, the third thing is what I want to share with you. You know, somebody once asked, actress Helen Hayes, you know, when she was 93, what's the secret to your long life? And her answer was rather simple. It was, I'm too busy caring for other people's lives. And I think that's what it is about. What we sit here today, we are extremely blessed. And I think we should envision sharing the opportunity with those that are less fortunate, that are not here today, that ought to be here today. And I think, you know, think about the legacy of JFK. I'm a beneficiary, and so are many of this graduate here, the beneficiary of John F. Kennedy, not because of what he said about what you can do for your country, but he set in motion the Immigration Liberation Act of 1965, which LBJ signed into law in 1965, and opened the torrent of the infusion of new ideas, the brilliant students from Israel, from Russia, from Ukraine, from India, from China, that is giving new life and new energy to this city. So, you know, we live about a way that's about sharing. And think about FDR. Think about, you know, today having retirement, the baby aging boomers without a social safety net. So my moral lesson to you is one simple word. You can become immortal by doing something, leaving behind a legacy. And this way, you truly live a long, long life. And I wish you well. I'm delighted to sharing this with you. And I hope to see you here back in a few years as a proud our foundation supporter. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Trustee Chen. It is now my pleasure to introduce CUNY Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Selma Botman, who brings greetings from Chancellor Goldstein. Dr. Botman is a distinguished administrator, a gifted teacher, and a much-honored scholar. She received her BA from Brandeis University, a B.Phil from Oxford, and her doctorate in History and Middle Eastern Studies from Harvard. She is an expert on modern Middle Eastern politics and has authored many books on the subject. CUNY is fortunate to have her as its guiding academic affairs. Hunter is fortunate to have her constant support in the CUNY administration and to have her with us today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Botman.
President Rabb, Trustee Chen, faculty, invited guests, families, and most important, today's graduates, I am delighted to be with you today to celebrate this milestone in your academic careers. I speak for all of those at the City University of New York, for Chancellor Goldstein, for the faculty, for administrators, when I salute your academic accomplishments that are culminating today in the awarding of your degrees. All of us are here today to celebrate your commencement, your transition from apprenticeship of undergraduate or graduate study to publicly acknowledged mastery of your fields of study. Under the guidance of your academic mentors and with the support of your family and friends, you have successfully engaged the work of earning a degree. Today and well into the future, we know you will recognize all of the work you put into this was well worth it. You've grown intellectually, you've developed yourselves, you've made your families very proud. And once the euphoria of today wears off and you begin to face the world after college, the real benefit of your education is yet to come, as you surprise yourselves by your ability to apply a deeper and more complex understanding of the world to the experiences that lie ahead of you. Those habits of mind, those newly honed intellectual skills, those abilities to uncover the patterns of meaning from what sometimes appears to be confusion and even nonsense, you will be able to bring all of these to bear on whatever profession or activities you choose. That's the real promise of your education. Your newly acquired knowledge lies not so much in the particular discipline that you studied, but in the habits of mind that your education has cultivated. You have developed curiosity and critical thinking and persistence. I am honored to celebrate your achievements and the beginning of your lives after college. Congratulations, graduates.
Our Hunter students come from all over the world. More than 150 countries are represented in our classrooms, and many families have traveled long distances to be with us today. We have families here from at least 4 continents, representing many nations. According to Hunter's Geography Department, the Paskar Gomez family from Bangladesh had the longest journey to see their daughter Elsie graduate. We say namaskar to the Paskar Gomez family. It's a pleasure to have you. To the Yanagis, who are here from Japan celebrating Eke's graduation, Yokoso, welcome. And we say Akwaba, welcome to the parents of Harriet Asase, who are here from Ghana. And bienvenidos to the Perugachi family who came from Ecuador to see Sylvia graduate. Let's give them all a New York welcome. Graduates, so many people make this special day possible. In particular, there are 2 groups we should recognize today. First, the phenomenal faculty of Hunter College. As their students, you know them as brilliant writers, researchers, and teachers. More than that, you know them as mentors and friends. Graduates, let's give them a hearty round of applause. Now, graduates, please stand. When all the graduates up. When we talk about service and sacrifice, let's not forget your parents, your grandparents, your spouses, your partners, your children, and your friends. Now turn around and give them your thanks. You could not have done it without them. Okay, thank you. It is now my pleasure to welcome, we can be seated now, thank you. It is now my pleasure to welcome the Speaker of the New York City Council, Christine Quinn. As president of Hunter College, I have the privilege of presenting the President's Medal to people outside the university whose contributions to our city and country merit special attention. This year, we honor City Council Speaker Christine Quinn, who says that the only thing she was ever really interested in was politics. She has scored a lot of political firsts. This year, she was overwhelmingly elected Speaker of the City Council. She became the first woman speaker, the first Irish speaker, and the first openly gay speaker in New York City history. Speaker Quinn graduated from Trinity College in Connecticut with a degree in urban studies and education. She got her start in the City Council by serving for 5 years as Chief of Staff for Councilmember Tom Duane. When Duane moved to the state Senate, Quinn handily won his council seat in a special election. The rest is history. Speaker Quinn brings strong leadership and dedication to public service. She worked to pass legislation keeping New York City smoke-free and successfully led the fight against construction of the proposed West Side Stadium. As chair of the Health Committee, she helped to make mammograms widely available and to expand access to health care throughout the city. Citing the importance of early childhood education, something all our education students know, Speaker Quinn says that New York must make full-day pre-kindergarten available for all our city's children. Higher education is also one of the Speaker's top priorities. She is a great friend of the City University and one of the strongest advocates for the Council's Vallone Scholarship Program. This year, Hunter College students received 1,893 Vallone scholarships, more than any other CUNY school. Who got a Vallone scholarship? We have hands? Yeah. And another great thing about Speaker Quinn is that she hires great people. For example, her new communications director, Sandra Mullen, happens to have a master's degree in social work from Hunter College. So, Speaker Quinn, we have plenty of other Hunter graduates who'd like to give you their resumes. To help present the President's Medal, I'd like to bring up Professor Jill Gross. Jill Gross shares, come on, Jill. Professor Gross shares Speaker Quinn's passion for urban policy and for making New York City a better place to live. An educator and author, Professor Gross has been heavily involved in many areas of urban planning and research and works tirelessly to teach young people how our city works. Jill, would you do the honors? We have our medal for Speaker Quinn. We thank her for being here in her busy schedule.
Well, thank you, Professor, and thank you, Jennifer. I was just with former Mayor David Dinkins, who wanted me to tell you that he thinks you're terrific and that you're doing a great, great job at Hunter. So I promised I would pass that on publicly. Well, this is very, very exciting because, truth be told, I went to Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut, and barely graduated. So being honored in front of all of you on this great day is something I never expected in 1988 when I walked out of Trinity College. Actually, after I left school, the professors might empathize with this. They changed the regulations on how many credits you could get through independent study and internships, because I had turned being at the State House in Hartford into a academic science. But I mention that to say, you know, this is a funny memory, but driving up here, I remember my 6th grade teacher, Miss Carl, telling me that someday, saying to the class, the students who are good in elementary school might find it hard in high school, or the students who are doing really not so well today might excel in high school, but that there would be a point in one's academic career or professional life when it would get difficult. For me, that was college. It was hard. I struggled to get through college. And I mention that to say some of you may have breezed through Hunter, some of you may have struggled to get through Hunter. But whenever you hit that moment in your life when it gets difficult and you feel you can't get through it, you should remember that my 6th grade teacher was right. Everybody has that moment when it is difficult. I remember consciously thinking I would not finish college. But I did, and then I got out into the work world where it was much easier for me to excel than it was in those classrooms. So when you think, if Hunter was the place you breeze through, if you get out into the job and it's difficult, remember that 6th grade teacher in St. Pat's in Glen Cove, New York. It is just one spot, and if you get through it, there's always the next spot where you will be able to excel more. And if Hunter was difficult, you've made it out. You've gotten the degree. You have succeeded, and you should take tremendous, tremendous confidence in that, and know that now, when you get out into the workforce, you, like me, might not have been a good student, but have as long as you believe in yourself and know that you're ready to work hard, you too could make history and break through a lot of the ceilings that are out there. And if there is anybody out there who is going to break through glass ceilings, if there's anybody out there who's going to be the next first in this city, I am very, very confident it is going to be a graduate of CUNY, because Because one thing I know about CUNY, in addition to giving you a great education, CUNY, Hunter, and the other CUNYs are places made up of all that makes New York City great. And when you get that much New York and that much greatness in one place together, it fortifies your soul and your spine in a way that nobody can ever put down. So when you get out there, remember, you're a New Yorker and you're a CUNY graduate, and the workforce is going to be thrilled when you walk through the door. So best of luck and thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, you can see why that was an easy election for Speaker Quinn, and we know that she has many places to go ahead of her. Hunter's a family tradition for many graduates today. Take social work professor Darrell Wheeler. Professor Wheeler loves teaching at Hunter College so much that when his daughter Labrita graduated high school, he was determined to have her join him here at Hunter. With a dream of becoming an on-air correspondent, Labrita took her father's advice, which is pretty unheard of for most teenagers, and came to the media capital of the world. Today, Labrita graduates with a proud papa, a major in journalism, and and she has a job at ABC World News Tonight. And I say, Charlie Gibson, you watch out. Congratulations to Labrita and Professor Wheeler. In 1975, Margarita Concepcion received her Hunter nursing diploma. Today, 31 years later, Margarita is back at Hunter's graduation, but this time as a proud mom. Her daughter, Mildred Tucker, graduates with a double major in dance and biology. Although Mildred has danced off-Broadway and in the Macy's Day Parade, today Mildred makes her debut on the Radio City Music Hall stage. But instead of auditioning for the Rockettes, Mildred is busy applying to medical school so she can become a sports doctor with a specialization in dance. Let's congratulate Mildred and Margarita. A final family story goes back to 1960, when the sports editor of Hunter's student newspaper graduated and began a fabled career in journalism. He became New York's leading investigative reporter and the scourge of corrupt politicians. Incompetent jurists and greedy property owners dreaded his annual exposés of the 10 worst judges and landlords in New York. A few years ago, this crusading journalist called. He wanted to come home to Hunter to teach and to give back to the place that gave him his start. And he confided proudly, his daughter planned to enroll at Hunter at the same time. But tragically, he became ill and died way too young before he could return home to Hunter. I speak, of course, of the late, great Jack Newfield. Fortunately, Jack's spirit is very much with us today. He would be proud to see his daughter, Rebecca, receive her master's in education. Rebecca will carry on the Hunter and Newfield tradition of public service by working as a guidance counselor in the New York City schools. Congratulations, Rebecca. Let us also welcome Jack's wife and Rebecca's mom, Janie Eisenberg, a 1988 graduate of Hunter School of Social Work. And Janie, if you're out there, please stand. Janie has helped keep the Hunter-Newfield connection alive by creating the Jack Newfield Visiting Professorship at Hunter. Wayne Barrett, the first Newfield visiting professor from the Village Voice, asked his Hunter students to carry on Jack's fight against greedy property owners. So next week, our own student journalist, Taina Barrero, will have her story on one of New York's worst landlords published in the Village Voice. Taina and her fellow students proudly continue the Newfield legacy. So let us congratulate our budding social activist, Taina Barrero, who graduates today with a 3.7 GPA and political science honors. And let us also welcome her father, journalist Gerson Barrero, a columnist for El Diario La Prensa and one of New York's leading radio commentators. We hope that Hunter will become a family tradition for the rest of you as well. Graduates of the class of 2006, we, the faculty and administration of Hunter College, are deeply proud of you. After challenging yourselves with years of hard work and dedication, you have truly earned this degree. Graduates, as we celebrate you and say goodbye, I ask all of you to remember what Hunter has given to you and to commit yourself in some way to the Hunter motto. You have seen those 3 Latin words that encircle our logo, mihi cura futuri, the care of the future is mine. Today, I ask you to take those words into your hearts as you leave us. Thomas Hunter, an Irish immigrant, created Hunter College 136 years ago to train young women to become teachers. He believed in his obligation to the future. Hunter remains true to that tradition. You sit here today, poised to celebrate your graduation because our society cared deeply about your future and ensured that you had the opportunity to earn a college degree and expand your intellectual horizons. Hunter has prepared you for the future. We have given you the tools to realize the extraordinary in yourselves. There are hundreds of extraordinary stories dressed in caps and gowns today. Let me tell you about 5 of them and how they will care for the future. Richard Stiles is extraordinary. Richard began his career as a senior airman in the Air Force and then found success in corporate America. But he hungered for something more fulfilling, especially after the tragedy of 9/11. Then his father died of lung cancer. Despite his grief, he was touched by the expert and tender care his father received from the nurses as he was dying. One of those nurses was Richard's mom. Inspired by his mom, Richard left his Wall Street job, gave up his generous salary, moved out of his expensive apartment to follow in his mother's footsteps. He enrolled in Hunter College to become a nurse. Today, at the age of 39, Richard graduates with honors and has won the Nursing School's Leadership Award. Richard will care for the future by working in the critical care and oncology wards. He will also change the future by showing that men make compassionate nurses. Please join me in congratulating Richard and welcoming his inspiration and his mom, Lillian Brown. Congratulations, Lillian. Fani is extraordinary. Born in the Dominican Republic,